Hey guys, Justin with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're breaking down and installing the Aerocab roof-mounted marker light in textured black, available for your 2015 and newer F-150 at home. Now the Aerocab here from AVS will deliver a modern LED marker light for the cab of your truck with some bonus functionality, all while combining a simple peel and stick install with very minimal wiring to get everything up and running. So let's get into it. All right, so the Aerocab that we have here today, as the name implies, will be mounted to the leading edge of the cab of your F-150, protecting it from rock chips and bug guts while also adding some additional marker lighting thanks to the 5 groups of amber LEDs, in addition to just making yourself a little bit more visible while on the road. Now, on top of that, something I really like, they give off that old school kind of cab light vibe, which I'm a big fan of, but the best part is they're gonna deliver that look without needing to drill into your brand new F-150. Now moving into construction, and you'll find that AVS incorporates their extremely durable material called Duraflex 2000. Basically guys, it's a TPO or thermoplastic material that is going to be extremely durable and certainly up to the task of being mounted to the leading edge of your cab. Now on top of that guys, this thing has been given the 3M tape located on the back for you, so it's ready to go right out of the box. The only thing you guys will need to do is mount the included LED strips to the actual Aerocab itself here. And again, this also has some 3M adhesive on the back for you. Now the Aerocab has been made here in the USA, and it is backed by a 3-year limited warranty if you ever run into any issues. Now the Aerocab is gonna come in right around that low to mid $200 price point here. Seems pretty reasonable to me, given the fact that this is currently a very unique product. And what I mean by that is it's really in a league of its own. There's really nothing else quite like it currently on the site. Now with that being said, this is gonna give you that leading edge hood protection. It is gonna give you the additional marker lighting as well. And it is gonna boast a pretty simple no drill install. So for all those reasons, I'd say this is a pretty solid product. All right guys, let's get into the install here. And again, you heard me say no drill install is gonna be a peel and stick job. Some very minor wiring needed. Basically, you're gonna need to tap this power and ground pigtail into your parking lights. That way the LEDs will illuminate whenever your parking lights or your headlights have been switched on. Now with all that being said, the site's still gonna stick with a strong 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. Call it at least 30 minutes to get everything in place from start to finish. Might take you a little bit more time depending on how you are with wiring. But regardless, to give you a better idea of how your day might go down in the garage or driveway, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, a clip remover tool, a plastic pry tool, wire strippers and crimpers, some zip ties, a pair of scissors or diagonal cutters, an extension, some T-taps, some male spades, 7, 8, and 10 millimeter sockets. What's up guys? Today we're installing marker lights on our F-150, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is come down to our wheel well and remove the 2 screws that are holding in our lower trim. So I've got a 7 millimeter socket to pop these out. And then we'll do that same thing on the other side. Now with our screws on both sides removed, we can pop out the corners of our lower trim to fully remove it. I've already got the other side popped out, so now we can get this side out. Next, we can remove all of the push clips that are holding in our radiator cover. So I've got a clip remover tool to pop these out. Then we can grab our radiator cover and pop that out of place. Next, we can disconnect these 3 connectors up top. And then we'll remove our 4 upper grill bolts. Got a 10mm socket to take these out. Next, we can come to the bottom corner of our grill to remove our next bolt. I've got an 8mm socket to take this out. And then you can do that same thing on the other side. Next, we can pull straight back to remove our grill. Next, we can remove our driver's side headlight. We're gonna be running our wires down the windshield and to the daytime running light connector on the back of our headlight. So the first thing we're gonna do is take an 8mm socket to remove this inner lower bolt. Next, we can come to the outside lower corner and remove the 10mm nut and bolt with a 10mm socket. Next, we can come up top and remove our push clip and 2 bolts. I'll grab a clip remover tool for our push clip. And then we'll grab that 10mm socket for our 2 bolts. And then with everything removed, we can pull back on our headlight and push in the tabs on each of our connectors to remove them. And remove our headlight. So now the first thing we need to do is mount our LED strip. We have a hole in the driver's side where we're gonna feed the end of our wire through, and then we just have some double-sided tape on the back. We'll peel back the backing and stick it down into that channel. So now we can take the end of our wire and feed it through that hole. And now once we get this here, we can peel back on our double-sided tape and stick down our LED strip. So now we can peel back the double-sided tape backing and lay it into this channel and stick it down. So first we'll pull our cord tight. And then we can start laying this into the channel. So now we're ready to get this mounted up above our windshield. I'm gonna grab an extra set of hands for this. We'll peel back all the double-sided tape, and then I'll take one side, the buddy will take the other side, and you can lay this down at the same time so that you have an even gap on both sides. One important thing to note is you want your wire running out of this front corner. That way we can run this down our windshield and towards our driver's side headlight. So now I've got my buddy to help me lay this down. We've peeled back the edges to have them stick out past the plastic. So then once we get it down, we can pull the tape and stick it down. So now once we have it all lined up, we can pull the tape. Next, we need to run our wires down our windshield and into our engine bay. So I've got a plastic pry tool. I'm gonna get behind our seal right here, and then we can tuck our wire behind that. And now we can continue tucking our wire down in between this lip here to get it into the engine bay. So now we can continue running our wire. I'm gonna go underneath the fender lip here where we have a hole that we can run a zip tie. And then we'll take a pair of scissors or diagonal cutters to cut off the excess. And then we'll keep running our wire. And then we can take our wire and run it right in between this gap by the air box into our headlight bucket. So now we're ready to set up our wiring for our lights. We're going to be wiring this up with T-taps and male spades. Now the T-tap has a metal fork, so we're going to put this around the wire for our daytime running light as well as our ground. You'll get the wire right in between that little tooth, and then you can close this up, use a pair of pliers to crimp it down, and that'll cut into the wire. And then on the end of our wires that we just ran, we're going to be installing a male spade. This will slide right into the T-tap like that to make our connection. Now the smallest of our 3 connectors is going to be our daytime running light connector. We already have a couple T-taps installed on here from a previous install, but you would just follow those directions, crimping it down with a pair of pliers. This blue wire is our positive, and the black wire with the yellow stripe is our negative. So now we can take our 2 wires and a pair of wire strippers to strip back some lead. And then we'll twist up that lead. And then we can take our male spade connector and slide that onto our wire and use a pair of wire crimpers to crimp that down. And then we'll just do the same thing for our other wire. And now we'll plug our red wire into our blue wire's T-tap and our black wire into our black with yellow stripe. And once you have that done, you can bunch up the excess of the wire. I'm going to leave a little bit of slack on the end for our connector to plug into our headlight. And then I'll take a zip tie to zip tie up that excess. Then once again, a pair of scissors or diagonal cutters to cut off the excess of the zip tie. So now we can grab our headlight and plug in our 3 connectors. Then we can slide that into place. I'm going to throw the push clip in up top to hold it in place while we install our hardware. Next, we can reinstall our 2 bolts. And then we'll take a 10mm socket to tighten these down. Next, we can come down to the outside bottom corner of our headlight and reinstall our bolt and our nut. And then we'll grab a 10mm socket to tighten these down. And now we can come to the inside corner of our headlight and reinstall our last bolt. And then take an 8mm socket to tighten it down. Next, we can line up and reinstall our grill. Next, we can come to the lower corner of our grill and reinstall our bolt. And then we'll take an 8mm socket to tighten it down. And then you can do that same thing on the other side. Next, we can reinstall our lower trim. Next, we can come back to our wheel well and reinstall those 2 screws. And then we'll grab a 7mm socket and tighten them down. And then you can do that same thing on the other side. Next, we can come up to the top of our grill and reinstall our 4 bolts. And then we'll tighten those down with a 10mm socket. And now we can plug our connectors back in. And get our push clip back into the slot in the grill. Next, we can reinstall our radiator cover. And then we can reinstall all of our push clips. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Aerocab Marker Light in textured black for your 2015 and newer F-150. Thank you for watching, and for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.